down in Corvallis today at 3 p.m. But let's talk a little. We are the home of the Ducks here at 1080 The Fan. Oregon had a great season. The softball team got eliminated yesterday, but they got to the what is it? Technically, it would have been the Supers. No, they got to Oklahoma City.
They're in
they
the
got
Women's
to
College
Oklahoma
World
City.
Series, yeah.
Who they Oklahoma.
Yep.
Oklahoma eliminated them yesterday. But their baseball team had a good year, and they hosted a regional. Now, some people were upset that Oregon State was a higher seed, and so they were like, oh, why should they be that? We beat them 4 straight times. Oregon had Arizona, Cal Poly, Utah Valley in the regional. It was all set up for them to win the regional and to potentially go to North Carolina and take on the Tar Heels. And I know there was some debate in that first game, but they didn't win a game. They were eliminated out of the college baseball bracket, didn't even get out of the regionals, having a good year. And so we'll get to the debate and the whole like blocking the plate and the obstruction and the malicious intent and all that. But like, despite that, to not even win a game in your regional, and it was a great year down there in Eugene, but another year of them not going to Omaha.
Yeah, it was interesting listening to Mark Wazakowski after the game on Saturday, talking about how much they've elevated the program and how expectations have changed there, which I totally give him credit for. Super regionals the last 2 years, regional this year, but it is very much like a coach speak thing to say, well, look at how great we've become because now we're disappointed that we didn't get out of a regional. When I got here, the goal was to get to a regional.
Didn't Horton host a regional?
They did, and then there was the big swoon.
Yeah,
but like the thing that I find to be a little bit disingenuous about this is, yes, but the expectations are higher. You are expected to win. You are hosting. You are expected to be competitive. You're not expected to lose to Utah Valley and Cal Poly. You have an obligation to your fans to perform in that setting, and they weren't able to do it. And I do think that they've become a really good story down there. They've become a bit of a powerhouse, but to win the Big Ten championship, the regular co-title in the regular season, and then completely disappear in the postseason is just a huge disappointment. And the people I know who are really who follow that team from February through June are just completely baffled by how that happened.
Really?
I mean, there's a fan base that's really invested in Oregon baseball, and the Ducks haven't been to the College World Series since 1954. And granted, there was a long gap where there wasn't a team, but this program is due for kind of that breakthrough. And to have the super regional 2 years against Oral Roberts, where they were on the precipice and then completely fell apart. Last year they go on the road. That was a different assignment, but this felt like a year where hey, you've got the team, you got the offense, you've got the bats, you got the power,
you got everything. You got
right.
funding, you got stadium, you got jerseys. I mean, there's nothing that they don't have.
Yeah,
and it's Oregon,
and they keep hitting their head on this ceiling.
Yeah, and I don't know what it takes to break through. You had mentioned something about maybe styles.
Well, the one thing that's interesting about them is they have built they've set a school record in home runs each of the last 3 years.
Yep.
They rake. That is their bread and butter. That is their style. And I asked Waz about it once, and he was like, well, home runs count for more than singles. And that's true, but when you live by the homer, you die by the homer. And that has been kind of, I think, their undoing. And you've got to be able to win games multiple ways. And you saw it with Oregon State yesterday against in the first game against St. Mary's, where granted you're not going to see 4 bunts in an inning every time, but the Beavers can beat you different ways.
Yeah, they went yard against St. Mary's and then bunted the hell out of USC.
Oh, it was USC that they're bunting. Yeah. But that was fun to watch because that was a balanced baseball team. And I don't want to just pile on the Ducks because of 2 games, but you've got to give us a little bit more.
Their expectations are higher than the regional.
Yeah.
It's not pile on. I just think it's realistic. They didn't go into the regional going, well, I hope we can beat Utah Valley.
No, I mean, at minimum, you're getting to the regional final against presumably Arizona with a chance to get to North Carolina.
Now,
you're not just folding.
Right. If you lose to Arizona in your regional, I still think that's a disappointing season.
Sure.
But Arizona's been, historically a great program in baseball. The debate and the controversial moment was in the first game against Utah Valley, where they get a runner waved in. There's a play at the plate. There's a catcher blocking the home plate. The runner sees the ball kind of bounce to the glove. The ball doesn't go in the glove. It bounces off, but the runner hits the catcher, touches home plate. They call him safe. The run scores. At that point, it's 6-5. And then they review this, and they maintain that it was malicious intent, and you can't do that to the catcher. The guy is out. And then there's a debate because the rule pops up on the screen that clearly says catcher must possess ball to block plate. He did not have the ball at any one point. It bounced off a glove. He was blocking before that. That's not what lost them the regional. They lost the regional by not playing great baseball. But I don't know what we're supposed to do in that sport with this. It's basically the Buster Posey rule, right? It's the you broke your ankle and foot at home and it looked awful. I don't know what baseball players are supposed to do. What are you supposed to do as a runner? And then also, like, you're not supposed to block the plate without the ball, but, like, every catcher my whole life was coached to, hey, do whatever you can to prevent the run. And so now you're in this weird spot in that sport where when it does happen, it's happening in softball. I don't know what the answer is now if there's rules to this stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad Pete Rose wasn't alive to see this because, I mean, like,
well, he was. He just died. He'd seen it a couple times.
Not on Friday.
Well,
like, but I agree. I agree with you completely. The point is to stop the run, and so, you know, Anson Aroz is coming in, and like, what's he trying to do? He's trying to get to home.
Yeah,
like, he's got to get to home, and so the guy is in your way. Like, I don't know what he's supposed to do. Now, granted, you know, like, if he makes an effort to slide in some way, then the run probably counts and the obstruction would hold. But, like, I struggle with the order of operations here.
Me too.
Because you can convince me that there was quote unquote malicious contact based on the letter of the law because he didn't slide, he ran straight through him, you know, he didn't pull up, whatever. But why did he do that? He did it because the catcher was in his path. The catcher was in his lane and didn't have the ball. So there was, I believe the rule interpretation said that if there hadn't been malicious contact, then it would have been obstruction. But the obstruction is what caused the malicious contact.
I feel like if you're running and you see home plate, you're just supposed to stop and go around. You're supposed to like
I agree. It's silly. I agree. It's
so
silly.
Weird.
And I feel like we've, you know, this happens in football with different rules, basketball, but where we are over legislating the mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
And to me, you have to let the game unfold naturally. And like, if you watch the Oregon UCLA game, the Ducks in softball, the Ducks got a run late on a play where UCLA, you know, nailed the runner at the plate. Like, the ball is there, it is at home, and they beat the runner. But the catcher blocks the path.
Right.
And so Oregon ends up getting the run, even though Oregon's runner never touched home plate. And to me, it's like, how do you give that run when the ball is in the catcher's glove? She's there. She's in front of the runner. How do you give that run? And so I don't really understand the obstruction rule. I don't like that we are interpreting what is and isn't a run. It's like football, what's a catch? Like, now it's like, did you score? Is this a run?
Did you complete the process?
Exactly. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm always going to say that I support, you know, player safety and like, if player safety is the goal, that's great. But you are going to have bang bang plays. You are going to have contact in sports. You're going to have collisions. This to me was an example of, you know, a high stakes situation where one team needed to score a run, the other team needed to prevent a run. And this is what you get when two
both
players
teams
are
doing it right.
When
I think
both teams played hard.
Right, yeah.
Like, it just, to me, it's like, what are we doing and what are we actually doing to the sport? Because, you know, I thought that was just a great baseball play.
I mean, you played baseball growing up, I assume, Little League?
I mean, poorly, sure.
Okay, right. So did I. And now these kids are in college. We're all, you know, we're getting to our 40s almost. Like, these guys in college, they're playing the game the same way you and I did. And this rule has been into effect for some time. Like, you're still making people now play the game differently than they've been coached 5, 6, 7 years ago. So I think that means your rules are poor. And you can't, I mean, there's just going to be some physicality in sports. And you don't want to see injuries happen, but it's not like every single time there's a play at the plate, the catcher's coming around with a broken foot. So
you brought up the one in the Oregon State game yesterday, which was in the first inning against SC. SC sent a runner on a shot to the gap, and
great relay by Oregon State.
Probably shouldn't have pushed it if I was USC, but tried to score from first.
I think it was first. Yeah,
tried to score from first.
Yep.
And, you know, great play, great relay from second, and, you know, the runner goes wide. You know, makes a swipe at the plate. I don't think he actually ever touched home plate, but, they get the tag. It was a great play. And all of a sudden we go to review to see if he was obstructing the path.
And I think he was, if
He
we're
probably
being honest,
was.
but they didn't call it because there was no contact with the base runner because he went around it. So
the run didn't score, and it was an out for the Beavers, and they were on their way.
Yep.
But I mean, once you bring in that human interpretation of again, like, did you complete the process? What is a catch? I just think that we're losing kind of the spirit of, my job is to get from here to here, and your job is to keep me from getting there.
Yeah,
that is how the sport works.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. So Oregon is out of the regional. Let's go down. We got a final in Corvallis today. Oregon State beating USC last